Well, that was fucking dreadful.
Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. Last night, Liverpool suffered what was arguably their worst defeat of the season. I mean, in the last month, we have put in some pretty abject performances, but I'd certainly say it was in the top three of pathetic showings from Liverpool so far this season. I mean, it was just devoid of everything that we've come to expect from this side. And people will argue that, that Leicester turned up in this game in a way that they haven't turned up all season, and maybe the squad didn't expect them to play that well. But to be honest, if you ask me, I can't think of a single team that Liverpool would have beaten playing like that. You could have put us up against Plymouth Argyle with that lineup and that setup and playing that way, and we still could have probably lost the game because we were that bad. I mean, the first 10 minutes, you can sort of allow how slowly Liverpool started because they hadn't played for 16 days. They had gone on this big training camp and everything, so they weren't used to playing competitive football, playing big matches in stadiums in front of crowds. But, there's no excuse for the way that we then carried on to play. We never seemed to get out of that lull that we got stuck in at the start, and it is sort of this worrying trend that you can tell within the first 10 minutes whether Liverpool are going to win or lose a game. Personally, as soon as that Vardy goal went in, maybe 5 minutes after as well, it was pretty much set in my mind that we weren't going to win because we just didn't seem to have it in us to be producing anything. We were getting in what you'd think would be threatening positions. We had players in the box, they had options, but we never actually looked like threatening. And Leicester were in much more poorer positions. Jamie Vardy was in no man's land a lot of the time, and it still looked like they were more likely to score because they just seemed to want it more. Every time that ball went forward, that long ball went forward, Jamie Vardy was always looking to get in behind the Liverpool players, get a chance going, get one-on-one with Mignolet. But whereas Liverpool were lumping the ball into the box, pushing it long in all directions, and there was never anyone going for it, and it was just totally devoid of passion, and it was quite embarrassing, to be honest. I mean, watching it, I actually laughed at the third goal because I'd become so disillusioned with the team and the performance during that game. It was almost like their lack of caring had rubbed off on me, and I think a lot of Liverpool fans as well. And it's worrying because while you can say that these problems are going to be sorted out in the summer, obviously Klopp was ruthless in last season's summer transfer window, getting rid of players and bringing in new ones in for replacements. But if Liverpool don't get the top four this season, then I think it can be viewed as a massive failure because they started out so well. They showed us what they were capable of. They looked like genuine title contenders. They were even top of the table at one point in November. And to not get top four after that brilliant start and those kind of brilliant performances we were putting in earlier in the season, it is quite embarrassing and it is a failure and it's not what we should be doing. And if we do want to have this big summer of change and we want to bring in world-class players, which is what a lot of people are saying that we need after last night's performance, then I think that we do need to get Champions League because we're not going to win a trophy this season, so we're not going to turn any heads that way, realistically. And Champions League is the only way that we're really going to attract players. I think some people will come in because of the Jurgen Klopp effect, the opportunity to play under such a brilliant manager. But if you can't offer Champions League football, then they are still going to be considering other clubs. But in all honesty, it was just an abject performance last night. And like I said, it is worrying for the rest of the season because Liverpool need to pull their finger out and they need to sort out this problem of playing this way against the so-called smaller teams because our run-in, our last 9 games, is all against teams like this. We don't play another so-called big team, one of the top 6 teams, after we play Man City at the end of March. And so if Liverpool keep on putting in these kind of performances against teams like Leicester, then we are going to find ourselves falling away massively towards the end of the season. So it needs to change. I think obviously you can say that the lack of Henderson obviously had a huge effect on Liverpool because people have pointed out today our win percentage with and without him is incredibly different. Our points per game with and without him is incredibly different, and it is obvious what he brings to the team. But players like Emre Can, who had a very good season last season, so there isn't really any excuse for him to be having a bad time this time out. Obviously, at the start of the season, he didn't have a pre-season. He was injured at various points, so you can account for the fact that maybe he had a bit of a slow start. But by now, he's had several runs in the side. He's had a lot of time to get into the swing of things, and he just hasn't looked like being anywhere near the quality that he had last season. So a lot of things need to change, and they do need to change quickly. I'm quite pleased that Jurgen Klopp, he said, I think it was today, that results need to change or it's his job that's on the line. I think it's good that he's making sure that all criticism, or trying to make sure that all criticism is directed towards him and not the players, because obviously he doesn't want all this media attention on his players, because he wants it to be him who criticises them and him who tells them what they're doing wrong, because that's the best way for him to get his message across. But it does need to be put across quickly, because we've got Arsenal at the weekend, and if we don't win that, then quite frankly I think we are pretty much out of the top 4 race for the rest of the season. So it is looking a bit like it's all doom and gloom at the moment, but hopefully after next weekend things might look up. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new around here, and follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter. Bye for now.